I was just thinking how different it looks standing on this side, because I usually go and sit up there on my own on a Sunday morning, because if I fall asleep, nobody notices, you see. Anyway, I was going to shock my life group members by singing, but I've decided not to, so... And I was going to sing the first verse of Amazing Grace, but I'll say it because I think it's relevant to me and as it is to a lot of other people, which is Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. And I think that's pretty much the story of a lot of Christians, but it was of me as well. I came to Crown Church at the age of 58, which I think is quite old to go to a new Christian church, because I was baptized and raised a Catholic, the only son of Italian parents, 1954. The person who introduced me to Crown was Michael Simpson, and it was thanks to him that I made my first journey here, and he has been a constant source of support and help and accompaniment to me all through the 4 years that I've been coming to Crown Church. And he's had his troubles, he's had his problems, and yet despite that, and once he's fought his way through them and recovered, he's still been there for me, and he's still here today, and I'm really pleased. And I'm glad to see that he's wearing shorts, which means although he won't be able to lift me into in and out of the water, he will still be there, which I was insistent that he should be. Right. One of the things that Michael said to me, well, two things really, because Michael comes from a Catholic background, as I do. It was that when we were Catholics, we knew of Jesus, but we didn't know him. We knew about him, but he was just almost a mythical character, really, which is very sad when you think how big the Catholic Church is and how many people attend that church. But that was our case. But the other thing he said to me was, if you think that becoming a Christian is going to make everything right, that life is going to become wonderful and easy, well, just wait and see. Because there'll be times when it will be anything but. The important thing is that it will be worth it. And it has been painful. It's been a difficult 4 years. I've been quite ill physically with all sorts of disorders, lots of depression, and it's been a really difficult journey. But it got me here in the end. Somebody whom I shan't name last week gave me one verse, and he said, feel free to use it. And I thought I would, because it ties in with what I just said. Because he said, for I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. And I thought, yeah, I just thought about it this morning. I wasn't going to use it, but then I thought, he's right, because that's where I've been, and that's what it's all about. So I first set foot in this church on the 2nd of September 2012. And the first smiling face that I saw at the door was one Stefan, who smiled, shook my hand, and then interrogated me for about 10 minutes about why I was here, how come I was here, what was my background. Wonderfully done, with a wonderful smile, and I had absolutely no problems about it at all. And because he's still here and he's still smiling at me now, it's lovely to see, so I'm grateful for that. And what I did was, I remember writing an email on that day to the church, not particularly to James, who had preached, but to the church, and James replied and thanked me for it, and I thought that was wonderful. A few months later, I attended the first short Alpha course, short one. And I remember the very first question that we were asked, who is Jesus to you? And my answer was, he's a historical figure. That was it. He was a figure in the Bible who lived 2,000 years ago, didn't really mean anything, wasn't a presence in my life, and that was my answer. In the spring of 2013, I was at home on a Sunday afternoon, having been here, listening to a Christian preacher on a Christian radio station, and he was talking to me because he said a story that related to me with all my pains and all my sufferings and all my worries. And that was the day that I said the prayer, the famous prayer, where I admitted I was a sinner. I believed that Christ died for me on the cross, and I committed my life to him forever. Now, if you ask me the same question now, who is Jesus? It's not easy to answer. All I can say is that he's a presence. He's there all the time. I just this morning, because I hadn't prepared anything, and I said to God, if you don't want me to deliver a written speech, I won't. And this morning he threw all these things at me, so I had to write them all down. So I wrote it down and I said, this is what Jesus is to me. He's here. He is present. He is constantly by my side. He is my brother, my protector, my provider, my comforter, my healer, my reassurer, my guide, and probably lots of other things. He's my friend who allowed me to be here this morning, but also he's the one who gave his life for me and then came back to life, which is what baptism is all about this morning. So I'm going to go through in a very, very simple way the same sort of experience. I'll skip the next one because it's very long. So this is actually my fifth and final attempt. And it is my final attempt because it's going to happen, thank goodness. On each of the 4 previous occasions, when I had arranged to be baptized, I got ill, really ill. All different ailments. And it really didn't strike me at the time, but of course it was the enemy. He hated the thought of me being here. That would have been for him, and it will be this morning, the ultimate defeat. I will have won over him. So this morning we're going to go through it, and I'd already said to people, look, if I'm ill, you bring me in a stretcher, a wheelchair, throw me in the pool, I don't care, it's going to happen. And strangely enough, this morning, and I wasn't well last night, but I said to God, no, this isn't real, it's going to go. This morning, I had all sorts of nasty, horrible thoughts going into my head. I knew it was the enemy. He couldn't bear the thought of my coming here this morning. He couldn't bear the thought I was going to do it. So he's going to say, right, one last effort, you're going down. Well, it didn't work because I had angry thoughts, vengeful thoughts, hateful thoughts, vindictive thoughts against people. But then I remembered something that Lee Wakeman said to me on Thursday, because he gave me a little image. It's not particularly spiritual, but it was to do with some breed of buffalo. Buffalo? Anyway, he said, I can't remember the breed, but he said, when you're confronted by the enemy, remember this. He said, the buffalo, I can't remember, I think it was a veiled buffalo, I don't know. He said, when it's confronted with a lion, it stares the lion out. It looks it in the eyes. But if it turns its back, the lion will attack it. But if it stares long enough, the lion goes elsewhere. And that's what I did to the devil this morning. So I'm still here this morning, right? It wasn't easy because I could have just as easily got in the car and gone to Brighton. So when Michael said being a Christian wasn't going to be easy, one other person in here, Martin, posted something on Friday. It's quite long, but I just want to read some parts of it, which is the definition of what being a Christian is, and that's the way I think of it now. It says, when I say that I am a Christian, I'm not shouting that I am clean living. I'm whispering I was lost, but now I'm found and forgiven. When I say I'm a Christian, I don't speak of this with pride. I'm confessing that I stumble and need Christ to be my guide, and I stumble every day. I falter every day. When I say I'm a Christian, I'm not trying to be strong. I'm professing that I'm weak, and I am weak, and I know it. I wouldn't have got through those illnesses. I wouldn't have got through anything if I hadn't had Jesus' support. And like Michael always says, when he was dead for 3 days, he was being carried. Famous footsteps in the sand. I've been carried for 4 years. So when I say I'm a Christian, I'm not trying to be strong. I'm professing that I'm weak and need his strength to carry on. When I say I'm a Christian, I'm not bragging of success. I'm admitting I have failed, and I still do, and need God to clean my mess. When I say I'm a Christian, I'm not claiming to be perfect, and I know I'm not perfect. Somebody came to me this morning and said, "You're my hero." Me? Why am I your hero? Well, you can ask him now. Because I didn't want to hear it. I said, no, thank you. He knows who he is. When I say I'm a Christian, I still feel the sting of pain. I have my share of heartaches, so I call upon his name. And when I say I'm a Christian, I'm not holier than thou. I'm just a simple sinner who received God's good grace somehow. And I keep saying I'm undeserving. People say to me, no, you're not. Anyway, something else that I heard this morning on the radio, and I've almost finished, James, so bear with me. They know, people from Crown Church know that I do a lot. This is my opportunity. It's lovely standing here and watching everything else. Anyway, Jesus answered. This was something I picked up this morning on the radio, and I thought, this is brilliant just for me this morning. This was given to me, and I heard it on a radio station, which says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him, and you have seen him. I think that's it, really. I just want one last point. There's one person in this hall said to me this morning, whatever you do, don't mention my name. So, Roy, I will not mention your name. Is that okay? Nobody will ever know it was you. That's it. I've said my bit. Thank you. Sorry. There are two people in this hall who left home at 7 o'clock this morning to come and see me. They have been faithful to me. They are Christians. And it took them 3 hours to get here. And I'm so grateful they're in this hall. And I couldn't have left it this morning without mentioning them. That's Adrian and Julie over there, who have been loyal friends for the last 5 years. And I just wanted to say a public thank you.